Well, welcome back to Tarot for Our Times. I'm Sarah, your medium on the go. So tonight I am broadcasting from my hotel room in Buffalo, where I will be appearing at the Dragonfly Studio and Spiritual Center right here in Buffalo. It'll be at a spirit fair, and I'll be doing readings. So if you have a chance and you're in the area, come and see me. So tonight we have a little bit of a break from the taco muskrat drama, although I'm sure that it's not over. But when I finally got here, I heard the news that Garcia is back in the U.S. But now he's going to be facing charges about being a coyote or smuggling illegal immigrants into the U.S. Now, of all the things that I heard, never heard that one, but apparently Pam Blondie was able to whip up a grand jury and get him indicted. This looks like a measure for them to save face and bringing him back, since the courts were really breathing down their backs about that. So I want to do a reading about if these charges are all trumped up and what's going to be happening, and then I'll see if there's anything from there. So since I'm using my phone, I won't be able to show you the table, but I will show you the cards. So I've been shuffling these up. So going to ask if these charges are for real. Maybe this is one of the best examples of indicting the ham sandwich. So we're going to see here. Okay, I'm going to see what the cards have to say. All righty. Okay, so to start off with, where the energy is now is the Emperor in reverse. So this is my card for Trump. And he's still the tyrant, but he's really getting to be the king has no clothes, Hans Christian Andersen story. And he's become weaker and weaker. And I think it looks like he really did have to bring him back, but he wants to show that he's a strong man by getting his Attorney General, who looks like an older version of his daughter Ivanka, to bring these charges against him. Now, all I heard is that he had been seen riding in a vehicle with a bunch of other Latinos, but that's not unusual because a lot of them are day laborers, and they kind of gather in groups waiting for the contractor to pick them up. So this is nothing unusual. They better have a little bit more than that. So, okay, the energy we have crossing with this may be based more on emotions and toxic emotions than it is actually based on any kind of fact. So this is what we've got. Emperor in reverse and the Ace of Cups in reverse as the energy. So, the underlying reasons behind this would be, a little bit in the past, we just can't get away from the big divorce. So this may be, the timing may be such as to take our attention off of that for a little while. Then we have, the High Priestess with this could be some sort of a distraction to take the attention away from the dirty little secrets coming out because of the Epstein report. And then we have the Knight of Cups, bringing the message of the good news that, well, he's back, but the bad news is that he is indicted for these charges. So let's see. In the opposing thing, we have the Four of Pentacles, which is about really being stubborn and digging into, a lot more, because they just can't seem to hold on to that. This whole regime is falling apart. They just can't seem to hold on to anything. So this may be a false sense of strength. So it kind of makes me wonder if this could maybe they know he can't be convicted because of whatever flimsy evidence he has. This is kind of what it's starting to look like. So let's see what we have here. So in the conscious thoughts, we have the Nine of Cups in reverse. So it's about their plans, the plan of the smug merchants and the oligarchs, just kind of being literally turned upside down, definitely taken out of their comfort zone, and all these emotions coming up. So this is, they really are kind of showing their panic here. In the subconscious, this is interesting. We have the Queen of Cups. I would say there may be a whole lot of mommy issues going on around this, all going back to the mother that they didn't have. So this with the High Priestess coming up and everything, I think a lot of it is really some unresolved childhood issues that is sparking all of this cruelty. All of this is just part of the politics of cruelty. So in the past, before he got released, we have the Hierophant. And in this reading, this is going to mean the whole big institution of government, the three branches, the judicial, the legislative, and the and the executive. And it looks as though it's not treating them very well. It's starting to look as though behind the scenes there's been a lot of pressure, an awful lot of pressure, because of taking him, and I think and one or two others may have been returned. So this is something that they couldn't quite ignore. I guess maybe our three branches are stronger than we thought they were. So that's in the past. In the present, we have the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. And so this would be their narrative of the lack of national security. They've got to keep that going. Now, I would say that our national security is in peril, but not because of the reasons that they say. It's because of their trying to dismantle our democracy. So coming up in the immediate future, keeps coming up, the Death card. What this tells me that in this, this does seem to be something they're digging up to make them look stronger. And when he said he would never bring him back, he's got to kind of justify it. But this is just part of the march of death, the death of this regime. It really is falling apart. I mean, I've seen some of the pundits on, YouTube, people like Adam Ogler and Glenn Kirshner saying what we were saying since November, that this is not going to last 4 years. He's not going to last. This whole thing is not going to last the 4 years. But don't mean to brag, but we've all been a few months ahead of them. So then we have, going a little bit further, and can't make this stuff up, it's the tower. It's the disaster. This, this whole thing and trying to justify them bringing him back is just not going to stop the disaster that they've created. This is just, I would say, trying to put, a little bit of putty in the dam that's about to burst. So going further into the future, we have the Page of Wands. There's going to be some kind of renewal or rebirth. You can call it this big raise of consciousness that we're all supposed to be going through, which I guess we're probably in the process of that now. But it's that, he's a very young figure in the tarot, and younger people are starting to come forth. That young man, and I forget his name, the young man in South Carolina, who's the youngest person ever to be elected to the state legislature, beat someone in a pretty red district. So I think this whole thing is going to spark something new in the younger people. So as far as all of this goes, I want to see how Bondi and Trump, the Trumpian government, sees itself and how others see it. So, okay, so how do they see themselves? Oh, they see themselves as being incredibly balanced. Of course, their denial knows no bonds, but this is how they see them, and also that the angels are with them. But how others see them is King of Wands, the tyrant, very tyrannical and dictatorial, which is what this is. Plus is with all the royalty, the court cards, with rods in reverse, is unfaithful. Now, Trump has cheated on every wife he's married, including the present one. But when somebody is such a, people are people and things happen, but when somebody does it to the extent that he does it, we're not going to see him as being faithful to the country, but more faithful to himself and to his power. So this is not looking too good. I might do a quickie on what is going to become of this. Like, this is looking about like what's behind all of this. So in the hopes and the fears, we have the Seven of Wands. Now his back is really up against the wall. In the upright form, he's usually able to beat them back, but in this one, he can't. There's just too much coming up against him. Now I can't tell you when this downfall could be, but I will say that if he steps back any further, as I've said before, in this particular deck, he's going to go out that window. And that is one of Putin's favorite way of dealing with people. So I would say that is not erasing the fact that Russia's breathing down his neck too. So maybe there's trying to divert some attention away from that in light of Zelensky mopping up the floor with Russia this past week, and I don't think he's done yet. So it's all of this, this sort of thing to make him look good. So I want to see a concluding, what the conclusion of all of this is. Always about the money, and this is major corruption. So for some reason, I think that usually when this comes up in reverse, it's going to be an attempt to fundraise or maybe sell a sneaker or something like that. But there are people that will think this is great and he will make some money from it. Now, I want to see just briefly what is the possibility of what's going to happen with these charges. It looks like the Justice Department, for the most part, or the judicial branch, is not really on board with him. Now, the Supreme Court, I believe, they had a really awful ruling on the Doge boys being able to farm our data. But, they always have to do something that's really awful. So I just want to see, where is this trial going? And aside from seeing him in a car with a few Hispanic guys, they better have more than that to even charge him. So I don't know about what I don't think anybody knows what they have and how she was able to get them indicted. Probably went to a very red district of xenophobes to do that. That's what I think Blondie did. Okay, so, alrighty, so we're going to see, where is this case going? Okay, where is it going? So what we have now is the Magician in reverse. So this tells me they're going to try every dirty trick in the book to get a conviction. But this is, this is magic that doesn't succeed. This is a failure. So we have that crossed with the energy of the Two of Pentacles, which is about balancing the taxpayers' money with the better good. And with the economy the way it is, I think they're going to have to do a real juggling act to justify doing this. So let's see. So underlying all of this is, let me see, underlying all of this is, okay. Well, part of this phony magic is they're going to come across with this great white. We're here to save you from all of the nasty brown people. We're your knight in shining armor. So it's going to try to appeal emotionally to the jury pool. We're saving you from this awful person. And then we have evidence isn't too strong. They're really moving from a place of weakness, not of strength. Then we have, temperance again, which is saying that the jury pool, they may have to give the jury pool a little bit more credit, because there were MAGA people that did indict Trump in New York for that trial. The woman said she left her MAGA hat in the car. And so they may be underestimating what they're working with. The grand jury will indict anything because it isn't without a reasonable doubt. It's like 50%, a little bit like a civil case. It's like 50, if you're more than 50% sure, you think there's enough evidence that needs to have a jury decide, then that's basically what let's see what the jury has to say. And that's why people will really feel, that's why they'll indict anybody. That's how it works. But a regular jury to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, that could be a whole other ball game altogether. So with this case, they have, in opposition of that, we have the King of Wands. I'm going to say he's got a very, I don't know much about his attorney from the little I read in the article. I think I read the NPR article. That he may have a very good, inspired, and fiery, passionate lawyer who's going to represent him. I think a lot of lawyers would, pro bono, would love to have this case. So that's definitely going in his favor. Certainly better than the ones they've got. The good ones at the Justice Department have been, they've been resigning. So let's see how this case looks in the realm of conscious thought. Let's see how it looks. So in the conscious thoughts, this is the executive and the judicial branch pairing up, which is, to me, it's pushing the boundaries of ethics. But they're thinking, well, we're going to pair up to convict this guy so we can he can serve a prison term here and then be deported. So the subconscious aspects of this case are I think that deep down inside, I think a lot of people would just rather walk away from this. As far as prosecuting it goes, I would say this represents the decent attorneys who've been retiring in droves from the Justice Department, and they're walking away from all this emotional turmoil. So that's not putting it in a very good light, because what they have left as attorneys are, if you've listened to any of these things, like the guy I call Froggy, it just awful. They're not representing us, they're representing him and MAGA. So let's see, in the past we have the Page of Pentacles in reverse, which is still about the fundraising, about the feel that they can never have enough money. So for some reason, I'm starting to think that because the Emperor in reverse doesn't want to look weak because he can't raise money off of that this may be his false show of strength. So this is what's motive, because he's been just losing so much in the courts. I mean, that whatever little thing he's won is really offset by what he's lost, and their pressure is really strong. And I think that bill of his is tanking, and that whole thing about eliminating the contempt thing, that's going nowhere. I wouldn't be surprised if that got cut out of the bill completely, if they have any hope of passing that. So, okay, that's in the past. Okay, so what about this case in the present? Okay. The Five of Pentacles in reverse. So this is on the outside looking in. I would say that it's pretty weak, it's pretty poor as they go along. It might turn out to be. They're taking a gamble, and and in fact, I would look at this as, in this particular deck, I would look at this as this window is maybe the minor arcana of the Wheel of Fortune. And these people have lost. They've spun the wheel and they have lost. So I would say this may turn out to be a losing case as it stands now. Now that can change. That can change. So coming up in the not too distant, here we go. And I've shuffled this, the Death card. This case could very well die. I mean, all it would take is a judge to say, "Are you kidding me? Bye-bye." I think it's with prejudice. That's it. They're done. Double jeopardy. Forget about it. You're not refiling it. You have bupkis. Okay. So this could be a dead in the water thing, but they're going to try. So let's, in the more distant future, we have the Eight of Pentacles. I think what they're trying to do is design something that could, that they could go through some ridiculous plan to get some trumped up charges and get people imprisoned and kicked out of the country. That's what I'm saying. If this goes down in flames, which it could, because it's a tower. Did the tower come up in this one yet? No, it hasn't, but it did come up in the last one. Okay. They're at the drawing board making the plans, and you see these guys are kind of dangling and not up there to secure. So this something tells me they just came up with this. They whipped up a grand jury. I don't know why. I'm feeling this was done very slapdash. Of course, this is all for entertainment purposes only. So in the more distant future, we have the King of Cups. What this is telling me is that I'm starting to see these kings as judges and lawyers. Usually it's the swords, but with all of these, I'm seeing someone who, beneath all the turmoil of this water, is going to be, I think the judge is going to be keeping the emotions in check, which could be very strong with a trial like this. And you could see he's with all that water, but he's holding the cup stable. So this is telling me that even if they get one of his hand-picked judges, that he's going to be keeping his emotions in check. And it also could be telling me that what I said about maybe him bouncing the case out, if the evidence is a joke, is possible. So further, ask and you shall receive. Okay, here we have the tower. This sounds like this could be such a disaster. And I'm saying that they're taking a big chance in spinning this, Five of Pentacles, that it could end up such a disaster and still yet another nail in the coffin of this regime. Okay, so let's see what we got in the hopes and the fears. In the hopes and the fears, we've got the Hanged Man in reverse. They refuse to take any kind of a different point of view, like maybe the guy's here legally. He got sent to El Salvador unjustly, so now they're trying to justify this. And they're kind of, and in this I'm seeing that instead of the guy just hanging, he's just being held by these these chains. They're chained to this whole thing. And this is why the disaster, even with the disaster of the tower, they're not going to change their views on how they feel about immigrants. So it's like they just keep doing the same thing. And if he goes taco and chickens out, then he's got to do something awful to justify it. That's what this is looking like. It doesn't look like a very strong case. So we're going to see how will they see themselves in this trial. Sun in reverse. They see themselves as, why bother to be open and have the truth when muddying the waters and to end the celebration of this family, of this man being sent back? So we're just going to do, like, this is their down. We're just going to do everything the same way because we can. Because we can. It's the very arrogant thing. Okay, how others see them in this. Okay, this is the happy family. This could very well be how they're seeing this guy who's a family man who's trying to live in this country as a free and a safe person. But the threat of this whole thing is that with the Ten of Cups being the rainbow, is that they're seeing someone that this happiness of him coming back is short-lived. So this is how people are seeing this, like this. How can you do this to this family guy, and where did this all come from? So this is pretty much not how they see the regime, but how they see this guy here. They want to, they want to not be open and just show him as the villain, and they're not quite seeing. Most people are not seeing. I'm talking about the people that are not MAGA and they've made up their mind already. This is how they see him. So, in the hopes and the fears. This is another one. This Six of Cups. They're kind of hoping of going back to the past when being a racist and a bigot was kind of like part of that nostalgia 50s thing. So they want to go back to that. The fear is in this is that we're not buying that anymore. We don't see this as a positive thing. So let's see, in the conclusion of all of these charges. Now, I can't tell you what's going to happen for sure, but just how it kind of looks, the possibilities. So let's see what we have here. The Three of Wands in reverse. Interesting. The rest, just another thing to add on to the list, is that I look at this as, looking out to the rest of the world across the ocean, and that they're not looking at us very favorably, and it is just another thing to ruin our relationship with the NATO, the EU, and the rest of what we call the free world. So this is not going to help our foreign relations. I feel as though I need to maybe clarify, just get a little more depth into this. Okay, so then we have, again, King of Wands. They're seeing us as the tyrants and the dictators, and not really faithful to the Constitution or our country, but to their leader. So this is it. This is not going to help us with our standing in the rest of the world. So right now it looks like a pretty weak case and kind of grasping at straws, and yet it's the old saying of them doing the same thing and expecting different results. And I think this is what it's all about. The way it looks now, things could change. We could be unpleasantly surprised, but this is, with all of the chatter going on the internet since this guy was hauled off to El Salvador, is that he did this, that, and but that never came up, that he belonged to that gang, which he didn't. So just the tattoos don't match. So really what this is saying is like, well, let's see what straws we can grasp at. But time will tell. So that's it. I'll sign off and say goodbye.